What are some top trends coming for this year that are not yet saturated on the Etsy platform? In today's video, I'm bringing you 5 trends that are up and coming on Etsy this year. Etsy is one of the last places to ever get trends. We should not be doing our trend research on the Etsy platform because otherwise we're 6 to 8 months too late. These trends are all found outside of Etsy. It is such an opportunity for one of you to come onto Etsy with these trends and become a market leader. Now, as we're going through this, if you're wondering, how did you find these trends? Where did you find these trends? That is something we teach you in my program, the Ultimate Etsy course. But in this video, I'm going to give you these trends and show you exactly how to participate with these on Etsy. And as you listen to these 5 trends, please make sure to leave a comment. And I want to hear which trend is your favorite or which trend you plan on putting into your shop right now. So the first trend is functional items that look like something completely different. It looks like a snail, but they've made it a functional item. Again, at one of my favorite retailers, a turtle that has been turned into a planter. Again, here we're seeing that kind of neutral color, the kind of nude sand color, as well as lilac. An elephant that is actually a wine bottle holder. Again, here from Anthropology, we see an elephant candle. So let's say you sell candles on Etsy. Instead of just having a unique label or a unique scent or color, consider having a completely unique vessel for that. Again, we see a planter. We see a lot of planters right now, a camel planter. We also see actual unique shapes of candles. So whether you are doing wax or resin or anything that requires a mold, consider doing unique shapes. You can see this one is in the shape of a bird in that trending lilac color. Here is a toilet paper holder disguised as a bird. Like, how much more functional could you get? And we're turning it into something that is like a beautiful, unique type of object. Here we see another animal. It's a butter dish that is disguised with a bird on a house or rooftop. Now, this is a great way to play in the supply category. Here are some handles that have butterfly wings. That is something you could definitely be buying and reselling under the supply category. Now we see a jewelry box that is a shell. So again, with the lilac color as well as this green. Now we're seeing a lot more of this green. Now, let's say you are into textiles. So maybe you are into sewing or even embroidery, something like that. Instead of just making normal placemats, consider making placemats in unique shapes. Like here we see a leaf placemat. So instead of just a doormat with dogs on it, right? That's very, very common. We see that all over the place. What about a doormat that is in the shape of a dog, right? Now, let's talk about this one because we touched on the cosmic cowgirl trend in my last trend video, and now we are seeing it everywhere. And here is an example from Francesca's where we see it with resin. So again, with the shapes, wax, resin, right? You can get molds like this one, and this is turned into earrings. Again, with a rug. So that was an outdoor rug earlier, but here with indoor like bath mats, the bow trend. Now the bow trend was another trend that I touched on in my previous trends video. And now we're seeing it here, not just bows on a bath mat, but an actual bow shaped bath mat. One of my students has this beautiful bow hook. So a supply category item that I see just blowing up in her shop. Again, with another rug, a banana shaped rug. So really just, it's unexpected and it's a unique shape. Here is another example. Now this is a soap dispenser. Now you might be thinking, how would I make a soap dispenser? I'm not a factory. Well, you can buy the soap dispenser and you can alter it. So this is a great area to get into for altering in order to make something handmade. So you could buy the vessel that is unique shape and you can alter it. You could buy the planter, you could buy the soap dispenser and you could paint it, right? You could put the spots on it. You could paint the metal hardware part of it. That can become a handmade item. Again, from Urban Outfitters, we see a sponge holder that is disguised as a KitchenAid little mixer, wine bottle holders. Okay, something I want to touch on is if you have a 3D printer, this trend could be extremely easy for you to partake in. So 3D printers, I would say, are the 3rd most profitable tools on Etsy. This is definitely a trend that you do not want to miss out on if you have a 3D printer. A cowboy boot sponge, right? A sponge in the shape of something else. A jewelry dish that is completely in the shape of something else. Another planter in the shape of a bunny. If you're in the handmade category or the supply category, this is where you can play. Now, handmade, you don't have to be a ceramic artist. You don't have to be doing pottery and things on your own. Like this could be something where you buy something and alter it. You are taking something that is not a finished item and turning it into a new finished item. We're going to type in bunny shaped and we're going to see what this trend is looking like. So right now it's a lot of stuffed animals, a bunny shaped box, not well done in terms of the listing. I'm looking for functional items that are disguised as something else. Okay, looks like an ornament or a nightlight, something like that. that. It is marked as popular now. I would say though there's a lot of room for improvement and we're really not seeing much else. Let's try another one, bird shaped. Okay, here we go, like a bird shaped candle holder. I'm not really seeing any other functional items that are in the shape of a bird. Okay, mirrors, but again, huge opportunity to improve this listing. This just shows this is an opportunity waiting for Etsy sellers to jump into because it is definitely an up and coming trend that is not yet saturated at all on Etsy, and it's not even done very well on Etsy. Let's jump into the next trend. This one is water bottle carriers. Okay, this is something that I've seen pick up a little bit in the last year with Stanley tumblers. Now we're seeing it in a completely new way, and this new way accommodates all different types of water bottles. The style here is going to be drawstring. So this would definitely be either, I would say, handmade or print on demand. You could use a production partner. Now I would recommend using a smaller production partner because you're not going to find something like this with Printify. Some of my top print on demand students, like the ones making 100K plus per month, typically part of their product mix will come from smaller, sometimes even more local production partners. If you need help finding those, just reach out to us. We do provide unlimited one-on-one private coaching if you need help sourcing local production partners. Here we're getting the bright colors again. This is the Swig brand. Okay, now this is very similar to the ones that are already trending on Etsy, but this I have not seen anything done this way where it has the mesh outer pocket. Normally I just see the one pocket for the phone and then the zipper, but this has an additional pocket. So I think there's room to take something that is trending on Etsy and to do it in a better or more improved way. There is another water bottle company coming that I think is going to give Stanley a run for their money, and that is Awala. We see it at Urban Outfitters. You can see they have the color blocking trend definitely down. It is definitely a different customer, so it's going to be interesting to see how many Stanley customers really look to this brand and test this brand out. A little bit less expensive, still in the premium category, and still very on trend and trendy. We might even see a younger customer gravitating towards. Okay, now this is a much more outdoorsy technical feel because of this patch. Here we see another take on the water bottle carrier for actual disposable water bottles, which we don't see much of on Etsy. Another Swig one. Now you can see the trending colorway here is very strong. And then this one is from Etsy, but the reason I want to show this is because it is a market leader without competition. And I would say the leather material, kind of the understated, simple lines, still very unique, but yet the colors are very, very on trend. You can see the colorways they offer. There's really no competitor for this. Look at the great price point. It's an Etsy's pick. And I would say the photography here is very editorial. Here's a totally different take. This is much more maybe year round or even winter, but this hydro bag, has like kind of the puffer vest feel to it. Now this is kind of combining the Lululemon bum bag crossbody, but you can see it has a water bottle carrier component. So if you are currently in that kind of bum bag trend on Etsy, this would be a way to differentiate what you are offering compared to the competitors, because I've not seen anyone doing this yet. Now, I want to show you why this is such a good opportunity, because right now on Etsy, when you look at water bottle carrier, these are the options. So you see a lot of the neoprene, some that are, crochet. I wouldn't say that's a strong trend right now. If it was executed differently, it might be more trendy, but I'm seeing huge holes in the market for someone to come in and do this in a much stronger way. There's money definitely on the table in that category. Now, the next trend is subtle safari jungle themes. Now, the way this is done on Etsy, it is, the classic like animal print. So here you can see Anthropology. You could do this easily on Guten woven blankets. I think that would look beautiful. And we also see this in like kitchenware. Here is like a serving platter. Now, this is a much more subtle way. So you don't have to do, safari jungle theme in bright colors. This is much more subdued way to do it, where you see the colors are more muted, a little more washed out. You might think, I can't do a jungle tropical theme in my shop. My shop is very like minimalist neutrals. Yes, you absolutely can. You just do it in your own way. It's your own spin on it. Now, this is a wall mural. So if you are doing print on demand wallpaper, which I have seen huge success with, by the way, this is a really unique take on that, where you can do, a mural on the bottom half and then blank on the top half. You could do this with wallpaper, or you could actually do this with decals. The way that this is done, it's very much, a scene. It's an actual picture of something with a story going on inside. But this is done in a very sophisticated way. You can see this isn't cartoon-like. We even see this in apparel. So if you are doing print-on-demand apparel or even handmade apparel, even if you're doing supplies like appliques, you could play in this. Now we even see it in like furniture. So here's an example of a furniture piece. Now the thing is, if you are in the home decor furniture space, you don't necessarily want to have a collection of this, everything cheetah. So they're not going to have like a cheetah themed room. They're going to have one cheetah statement piece. This is just an example of something like that. Okay, again, we're seeing it even in sets, 2-piece sets, which are very trendy right now. Again, with things like robes, even Z gallery robes, we have a tiger print. We're definitely seeing it. This kind of combines the very first trend we talked about, where it is a practical functional item in a unique shape. Again, we see a tiger theme happening here. Print-on-demand shower curtains can be a great option. There are some great scarf companies with POD as well. Here's an example of a scarf playing into this trend. And here is some bedding. So if you are interested in bedding, there are some great print-on-demand bedding options. All right, now this looks very similar to the Guten woven blankets. And now you might be thinking, how can I apply this to nursery? Could this work with nursery? Here we see Pottery Barn having a unique take on this trend. It's the actual animals. We have the antelopes, the zebras, I think giraffes on here, and it's a safari scene, but in a very kind of subtle way. So it's kind of light watercolor, washed out tones. And towels. Towels are another way you could play into this. And then wallpaper, again, we see this happening. This is a prime example of why Etsy is late to the party with many, many trends. So if you look up animal print blanket, what you are going to find is a lot of actual animal prints. So the classic kind of leopard print, cheetah print, cow print, right? I would say there's a lot of room for someone to come in and to do this trend well. Now let's jump into the next trend. It is florals that are all over floral prints without much space in between the flowers. That is the key here. It's not just floral. It's not just floral prints. A lot of people, they think floral, they think trendy, and they are just completely off base. So here we are, tight florals. There's even overlapping. It's almost a collage look. Okay, here is one where it is an all over print. And this is again, a very kind of retro floral theme, but all over, there's not a whole lot of space between them. It is definitely very intentional the way this is. Here's another example with a blanket from Anthropology. There's very little space in between the elements. We see it again in the stationery world, even potentially wedding invitations, things like shower curtains, right? It's not super cartoon-like. It is not super washed out, watercolor-like. It is a good balance. With print on demand, a lot of people forget there's things like oven mitts, aprons, right? Wallpaper. So print on demand wallpaper is a great option to look into. Even digital wallpapers, that could be something to look into as well. Really, you have to think about the colors, the spacing, the elements themselves. That is what is going to make this trendy or outdated. Here we see from Anthropology a floral apron. You could definitely get into that with POD. Again, with the trendy cup, so the Stanley dupe cup. Here we see at Nordstrom, Liberty London, you can see their entire collection. This is just a really good example. Now, a lot of the prints that they use are much smaller, though large floral prints as well, where it's a much larger scale, that is still trending. We see this again with the beach towel. Now this towel, if you saw my last trend video where we talked about both color gradients and then also the wave trend, both of those were trends in my last video that we are seeing combined with this floral trend here. Okay, so I just typed in floral towel and this is what comes up. As we can see, we do have some all over prints, but then we get into some things that are not as trendy, like that. The way this is happening is also not as trendy because there's a lot of white space on this. I think the font is a little bit off and the massive amount of white space is just a little off balance. Like in the glass mason jar, not trendy. This magnolia tea towel, not really trendy. And the last trend I want to talk about today is with color. And this is with those monochromatic kind of two-tone color palettes. In the previous trend video, we talked about color gradients and how it is different than ombre, very different. What I'm seeing now a lot more of is not just color gradients, but in the same exact color family. This is a pillow. Now with this, you can see each side of the pillow is in the same color family, just a different shade. One is lighter, one is more saturated, and sometimes it will be maybe adjacent to it on the color wheel. So peachy corally orange next to more of a pink, a true pink. This is great. Look at this drinkware. Adulting is hard, right? Those two-tone with the blue and the font. Also, these elements add a lot to it. I think a lot of people go for a bold font and then they just forget about about any other element. Graphic elements can be as small as these little diamonds, right? It doesn't have to be a big, loud graphic design. If anything, it adds to the value proposition and it enhances what the words are saying. Again, we see it here with the sunglasses case. It's silicone, so you could definitely do that. Now, if you do engraving, you could also engrave silicone. And while it is not necessarily two-tone when you do that, it is still adding dimension with one color. It gives a similar effect to having something that is two-tone. So if this was just pink silicone and they had engraved sunnies on it, I think it would have a very similar effect. We're definitely seeing it in apparel. You could get into some really fun colors here and really have that two-tone offering. So this is just one example, a hot pink on a blush pink. Here we're seeing more of a reddish orange on a pink with a candle. We see this also with sets. So it might not be one product, but it might be a set of things that are all of a similar shade. Sometimes it's just showing your products in different ways or combining your products in new ways. This is an example I wanted to show you. You could simply change how you are positioning your product. They are selling 2 green pens, the same shade of green, but they are playing in this trend because of the background color they're using. So you could simply play in this trend by changing out your mock-ups in the background color behind the product. So we see that again here with the lavender. Now this is a little bit too much tone on tone. We see that with the orange. The teal color definitely worked well. Just a reminder, you can play in this trend without completely changing your product. So all I did was I looked up mom shirt. Mom shirts are very competitive, which means they should be showing trends sooner than other categories. I'm not really seeing any two-tone color palettes yet. Okay, here we go. We see some of the two-tone in the wording here. And this says Blue Autism Awareness, and this is not an ad. And this showed up on the first page of search results. That tells me there is definitely some popularity behind this if it is showing up under mama shirt. So while we're seeing a little bit of it, little glimpses of it on Etsy, we're definitely not seeing this trend in a strong way yet. And that is why I think it is a great opportunity for you to be a market leader in bringing this trend to Etsy, no matter what category you are in right now. So I hope these 5 trends were helpful to you. If you want to see more trend videos, please let me know. And don't forget to comment below and let me know which trend was your favorite of these 5 trends, which one you plan to put into your shop. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you all in the next video.
After I joined the program, I gained so much clarity. Dylan is a wealth of knowledge and she shares all of her secrets with you. That coaching aspect of it, you can't get that through reading or watching videos.